defeat would be devastating because, not only is the beef between me and Conor real and something that I wouldn't be able to stand, the defeat of on a personal level, I have to uphold my father's legacy. Letting him down would probably hurt even more.
You get done in 3 rounds.
Smell good.
3 rounds. Put your money on it.
You smell
Put your
good.
money on it.
If you watch that fight, you're watching a man being killed. This is a very dangerous vocation.
The rivalry between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn continues to grow as their rematch gets closer. Both fighters are fully focused. One wants to take the title, while the
Conor Benn. I've always been a massive fan of Conor Benn. It's not been a secret. Conor Benn, I think he was one of the most fast.
The intensity of the Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn rematch goes far beyond a normal boxing fight. This matchup carries real danger because of what happened after their first meeting. Chris Eubank Jr. took heavy damage in their first fight, which left him in the hospital for 2 nights and 3 days. That tough battle is still fresh in his mind as he prepares again. This time, Eubank's team says he is already dealing with serious dehydration before the fight, and it is clearly affecting his health. Such physical strain shows how risky the sport can be when a fighter's body is pushed to its absolute limits.
To box, it's because I was fearful of what they are doing to him right now. If you watch that fight, you're watching a man being killed. This is a very dangerous vocation. After the last fight, I was in the hospital with Junior 2 nights and 3 days. I saw where his life...
Even with all the challenges, Chris Eubank Jr. still shows strong confidence. He says he feels no pressure going into the ring and believes all the expectations are on Conor Benn. Eubank explains that he will follow his game plan calmly, knowing Benn must prove himself to fix what happened in the first fight. This mindset gives Eubank a mental advantage, letting him stay focused without getting caught in hyper opinions. His comments show he understands his strengths and the psychological side of competition. For him, this is not just about a title. It is about handling pressure and controlling the moment. By pushing the pressure onto Benn, Eubank shows confidence while planting doubt about Benn's preparation. But despite his mental strength, the dehydration issue still hangs over him and could hurt his performance.
This fight week is here. How does your demeanor, your mentality change as we tick closer to fight night?
Fight week is easy. The hard work's done. The training, the sacrifice, it's all over. Now it's just about maintaining. Now it's just about kind of resting and getting yourself ready physically and mentally for Saturday. I'm ready.
When does that mentality shift? When does that click happen?
I mean, the click is, I guess, the last intense spar, which was Saturday. After that, all right, camp is done. Now we just got to make the weight.
Mind games. Conor has admitted that you got in his head. Are you setting any traps that you're hoping Conor might fall into again?
If I am, I'm not telling anybody about it.
Do you think he's trying to play any games by being nicer?
Yeah, he's playing himself. People know who he is and what he's about. People see through the act. He's not a nice guy. He's not a calm guy. He doesn't like me. It's all a facade. It's all a defense mechanism. And it's not working for him.
We've just had the first face-off. Conor looked away first. Do you take anything from that?
He's looked away first every time we've ever looked at each other. He knows what's coming.
What's going through your mind when you're looking at him?
I'm calm. I'm at peace with whatever happens. I don't have anything to prove. The pressure's on him, not me. I mean, there's pressure on me, but nothing like what he's experiencing right now. He has to evade.
Conor Benn, speaking with Carl Frock, looks back at his journey from the first fight to now. Benn says he gave everything he had in their first meeting, yet he does not hold on to any frustration from the loss. His attitude shows maturity, letting him stay focused only on preparing for the rematch. This mindset is important because carrying regret could hurt his performance. Benn's claim that he is fully ready shows a fresh start. His approach highlights discipline and resilience. By treating the first fight as a lesson and not a failure, he puts himself in a strong position for the rematch, especially with the added drama from the Eubank family.
You now have got some respect for him, but to go back in there now for a second time.
Listen, I've done the best I could on the night. I've done the best I could.
Yeah.
You know, it was my first fight back in the UK in 13 months. My first fight at 160. It was my second 12-rounder. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So I sit there and I go, listen, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
I'd rather lose an exciting fight than win a boring fight.
Yeah. But what I'm saying in now, in the rematch.
Yeah, listen. As long as I do the best I can.
Yeah.
As long as I do the best I can.
Absolutely.
Which is, I believe I do a number on him. That's me just staying disciplined. As long as I do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Why I was disappointed and upset weren't because I lost.
No.
It's because I beat myself in there.
Yeah.
By not following tactics, by not fighting with my head, fought with my emotions. So I'm in there and it's just, I wasn't happy with what I done. If I can go in there and I'll be disciplined and do what I do and he beats me to the punch or he comes up with a recipe that can be, fair enough, no problem.
Yeah.
Listen, I ain't going to be no sore loser.
So if you lose fair and square and you've given
you
your
lose fair and
best
square,
shot.
well done, Chris. You're the better fighter. Give away the, even me giving away the weight. I ain't going to sit down there and go, oh no, that was my first fight back 13 months, Chris. That was my first fight at 160. You won't hear me make up no excuses.
No.
I still thought I'd render you unconscious within 3 rounds. That was what I genuinely believed.
Yeah. You've nicked that line off me, haven't you?
Is
You
it?
love the render unconscious.
Have you said that before? I wouldn't know.
Only a couple of times. What was going through your head when you saw Chris and Eddie Hearn at the press conference going back and forth at each other?
It's funny.
You sit there to laugh at it, or do you?
No, it's funny. It's funny because I'm sitting there going, Ed, why are you arguing with me? Why are you lowering yourself to his level? There's no need.
Don't you like Eddie getting a bit of stick, or do you like?
No, there's just no need. Let him just waffle on. Let him dig his own grave.
He bit though, didn't he, Eddie? He had a little.
Because but to be fair, when you're accusing a big organisation.
Chris Eubank Sr., who once strongly criticized the first fight between his son and Conor Benn, has now become one of his son's biggest supporters. This sudden change has led some people to call him inconsistent, but others see it as a natural shift driven by parental pride. Once his son won the first fight, Eubank Sr.'s attitude moved from doubt to support, showing the complicated emotions inside sporting families. In high-level sports, public opinion often clashes with private loyalty.
Time, and for the rematch back in 2022, you claimed promoters were trying to murder your son, Chris Eubank Jr, regarding the weight clause. You called your son a disgrace for slapping an egg in Conor's face earlier this year. In spite of all this, you surprised many in April by turning up and you were in Junior's corner. What would you say to people who'd suggest that Chris Eubank Sr, you're something of a hypocrite?
It's easily explained, so let me start. Within every individual, there are 2 entities. There is the ego, or the negative, and there is the good, or the super consciousness, or the God consciousness. Those 2 entities are within the one. I would have bet money that the fight wasn't going to happen. When he slapped the egg into the face of this young man in the face of Conor, I didn't bring him up like this. You're representing my name. I've worked hard to keep these statutes and so these standards. And so I was very, very disappointed. And as you would have seen, and as the public saw, I was not turning up to that fight, but that was my ego. Remember, within the one person, you have 2 entities. Now, because I've submitted to the superconscious, or the God mind, or the good mind, because I've submitted, it always wins. And so effectively, it set me up.
The dehydration issue has become a major topic while discussing Eubank Jr.'s preparation. At 36 years old, his body cannot handle extreme changes as easily as before. The tough weight-cutting demands for this fight create a dangerous situation. Critics say Eubank Jr. is choosing money over long-term health, which is a common conflict in boxing. Dehydration can lower stamina, slow reaction time, and increase the chance of injury, making it especially risky for an older fighter. His decision to push through shows how high the stakes are in the sport. Boxers often balance ambition with their physical limits, and the situation is a reminder of the real risks behind the excitement of boxing.
the limit on the day. I think the limit was 170 and I came in like 169.7 or 0.4. So yeah, I had to watch what I was eating, watch what I was drinking. Couldn't fully hydrate. And we made the weight, and I didn't get fined another $500,000.
Will you allow Eddie Hearn to speak on Thursday?
What do you think?
My guess is no.
It's a good guess.
Nigel Benn explains that Chris Eubank Jr. is dehydrated because of the strict rules about rehydration before the fight. Eubank had to cut a lot of weight to make the limit, and now isn't allowed to put much of it back on, which has weakened him. Nigel believes the situation favors Conor Benn, who naturally weighs less and doesn't need to cut as hard. The issue has become a major debate, with Nigel arguing that Eubank is risking his health with extreme weight loss and limited recovery, making the situation unfair.
Where he could put on 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Did he put on 10 pounds? No, he put on 8 pounds.
That's
So
fascinating.
why are we all saying like, oh, he's struggling to make the weight? If you're gonna put weight on, you're gonna put that 10 pounds on. He wasn't struggling to make weight. He's been doing, and you know what? Because the reason why, they never said it all through all of his fights. But because he's fighting Conor Benn at welterweight, oh look, he's struggling to make. Oh, he's gonna find load of rubbish. A load of rubbish.
That's a fascinating insight. I never ever knew that. That's definitely a question for him if I forget to ask him why he didn't put on 10.
Yeah, that's right. Well, then you can ask him when you see him. But you know what I mean? But it's just like, I always look for the sympathy, folk. Going to the hospital, my toenail coming up, we're stopping him from getting there. And you heard me, if you watch it on TalkSport today, he was in the hospital before me and Conor. Then when me and Conor come, 50 yards away was Chris Eubank and Chris Sr. So we were there. He was there before we got there. So what's a sympathy vote again? It's not washing. Washing.
Do you think it's part of the whole drama, that like the whole character of the Eubanks?
Listen, that's right. Can you see there's always drama on that side, never on us. We don't say nothing. We prepare for the fight and that's it. We ain't saying like, it's about him putting on 10 extra pounds. No one ain't thought about Conor moving up 2 weights to fight.
Recovery is another important factor when looking at Eubank Jr.'s condition. Although he has healed from the injuries of their first fight, his age means recovery takes longer, and years of competition have taken a toll on his body. Many fans are worried because Eubank Jr. is older, while Conor Benn is a younger 29-year-old in his physical prime. Age affects recovery, stamina, reaction time, and durability. This sets up a classic storyline of experience versus youth. Eubank Jr. has the knowledge and skill, but his body is now more vulnerable to physical stress.
Jr. and Conor Benn was scheduled for the 8th of October 2022, and they had agreed to a weigh-in weight of 157 pounds with a 10-pound rehydration clause on the morning of the fight, meaning they couldn't weigh more than 167 pounds on the morning of the fight. I have to say to you that that is absolutely insane that Eubank Jr. ever agreed to this. Eubank Jr. is 36 years old now, and so 4 years ago he would have been 32. I understand that that would have been a bit easier at that point in his life, but for him to make a weight like that, when he's fought as high as 168 pounds in his career, he's clearly quite a big 160 pounder, even though I do feel that is the correct weight division for him, or has been. To agree to fight at 157 pounds is incredibly dangerous. And just to give you the full understanding of what that number means to Eubank Jr., his father said before the fight that actually happened between him and Conor Benn.
Why is it that you feel so strongly that this fight won't happen?
Why? Because my son, who is walking around now at probably 180 pounds, will have to boil himself down to 160.
Knowing this makes that weight seem absolutely crazy. Now look, that fight got cancelled, and I'd say lucky that it did, because I don't think that weight was right, and things that unfolded after that told us that that weight was actually dangerous for Eubank to be making. And despite the fight being cancelled, he basically made the weight. On the morning of the fight, he created a video that showed us he was only a couple of pounds over the weigh-in weight. I can only assume he did this to make a point, to show that he was disciplined in the wake of Conor Benn's failed drugs tests. But the impact it took on his body was significant, as he then went in there only a few months later against Liam Smith in January of 2023 and suffered.
The final part of this high-pressure rematch is Conor Benn's expected performance. Even though he is younger, he still faces the tough challenge of matching Eubank Jr.'s experience and preparation. Ben must give his absolute best because Eubank's previous performance set a high standard. Winning this rematch will depend on physical strength, strategy, mental toughness, and the ability to adjust during the fight. If Ben wins again, It will prove his growth and cement
energy and effort. This takes a lot of people putting their heads together to book venues. Everything was locked in. Then Eubank apparently goes, nah, I'm not going to fight so soon because that's when you want to fight. Bullshit, my guy. You don't mess around all of those people just for the sake of trying to piss your opponent off. There's no way. I think there's a few things. He took a big fucking beating in the last fight. He was really in a bad way, actually. The recovery of that would have taken a while. Then, you know, after such a grueling fight, do you want to get in the gym and push yourself to such a degree? Or do you want to give yourself an extra couple of months just to rest? And then he also loves the fucking poker and he loves going away in Vegas and all of this shit. Have a bit of fun. And he's never been someone who's wanting to fight all the time. This whole, I'm a driven fighter and I love winning and that. Yeah, he obviously wants to win fights. But Eubank's never been the guy who fights because he loves the fighting. He loves the lifestyle it provides him with. And I think it says a lot that Conor Benn was keen to get in there sooner rather than later, and it was Eubank who pushed it back.
I'll fight you right now.
I'm ready for Sep 2020.
I'll fight you, but I was ready for whenever. I'll fight you now. I'll fight you tomorrow.
Wants to fight Sep 2020, so you know what? We're not going to do it.
Again, Eubank is lying. And he's lied quite a lot already. We've fucking been watching it 2 minutes. And I don't mind it, by the way. You're trying to win a war of words, but it's clear that
Benn's goal is not just to win, but to show how much he has improved since their first fight. This rematch is meaning far beyond the result. It will shape reputations, legacies, and how boxing fans see both fighters. Each man must handle pressure from both inside and outside the ring, including health worries and media attention. In the end, the result will reflect their
As a favourite, but I think this is very, very close. Very close. Like, I've said that if Conor almost doesn't start like a crazy madman like he did and just sort of has energy in the last 4 or 5 rounds, then he will come on so strong. Just because he's younger. This isn't a case of me picking Conor over Eubank. He's just younger. It's a young man's game. It's a young man's game. Although Usyk and Crawford and Bivol and Beterbiev will tell me elsewise. But it's a young man's game. So look, I think Eubank will get it done, but I would not be surprised if Conor nicks this. I would not be surprised if Conor nicks this 115, 113, or could he nick it on a late stoppage? Nah, I don't think he stops Eubank. So, gun to the head, I'm saying Eubank favourite. This is very much me fence-sitting. Eubank favourite. Wouldn't be surprised if at 11:30 I'm speaking to Bellew in Frampton and saying, wow, Conor Benn just beat Eubank. Do you know what I mean? Does that make any sense? Or is that me just fence-sitting a little? Probably is fence. Guys, I've got to fence it a little bit. I'm seeing both guys in about an hour's time. That's a lie. 3 hours time. And then I've got to see him at the presser, see him at the weigh-in. And, they start to give me a little shit for saying, you picked him and you picked him. So, Chris favourite. Conor could nick it. We leave it as that. Undercard fights are incredible, by the way. And I really do mean that. I think in terms of the implications of a couple of those undercard fights, like Sam Gilly versus Ishmael Davis. Ishmael, regardless of how he's lost 3 in a row. You can't lose 4 in a row. You lose 4 in a row, it's big problems. Big problems.